Yeah, one of the 65 messages that you missed last night on the group chat was me asking Peaches, "Hey, how do I so Trent and I are going to do this. How do I do the interface? Because I've never done it."
You only have to hit record.
And you only have to hit record. This thing is fantastic. So shout out to Riverside, which is the platform we use. What's up, everybody? You'll notice it's just Trent and I. We were talking. You guys don't understand how we start these things off, but one of us just hits record as a surprise, and then whatever we're talking about midstream, we just record, because we talk like this all the time. We joke about this being the team room, but we literally converse with each other exactly like you see behind the scenes all of the time. And then sometimes we just hit record. And then we're here. So hi, Trent.
Magic. This is how the magic happens, is surprises. We all love surprises.
Everybody loves surprises. That's a quote from my little brother, Brian. Everybody loves surprises. Well, welcome back, everybody. You're in the team room. Obviously, Trent and I are here, and we're just sitting here talking about stuff. We wanted to get a short one out today to talk about 9/11. And we were just talking about it, Trent and I, before we hit record. This is, 20 years of GWAT went by, September 11th, 2001. So if I'm doing my math right, September 11th, 2022, we're 21 years post the event that took us in to the global war on terror, that took us into Iraq, Afghanistan, a bunch of other locations across the world. And then we're 1 year post the HKIA, joint tactical exit that we sort of left there, and everybody has their feelings about it. And, we talked about it at the time. If you want, I'll put the card in to go check out Chief Chad McCoy. He had some great words on, the fall of Afghanistan. And we looked at the HKIA exit pretty hard, but I was kind of talking through it last night with the boys. And, this is the first year after this event, now that everything is calmed down and the dust has settled and we've moved on, that Afghanistan is a historical event. It's an AAR point. Yeah. It's some stuff is still going on. Like, there's still some work to be done over there as far as AMSITs that need to get out and some visa holders that are trying to find their way out. And that stuff is still actively going on. But, it's a year post Afghanistan now, Trent. I think I was telling you before we got on here, getting ready for this pre-deployment cycle here at the unit. And this is the first time in my career that I've gotten ready to deploy, or teams have gotten ready to deploy, and we have not said the word Afghanistan.
That's wild. But yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking to the SWIC students, and one of them was like, "Hey, Sergeant, can you tell me like a story about what you guys do when you're deployed?" And I was like, "No, because that doesn't apply to you. Like, I can tell you stories. I can tell you GWAT stories. I can make some up. I can use Jared's stories, whatever."
Right.
But there's this big gap, which I don't think we fully understood or appreciated. The whole, Vietnam and all these other things, the gap between generations and how sudden it is. Like, one day students come in and they're like, "Hey, tell me about your experiences." It's like, I can, but they're not going to apply to you. And it's weird.
It's super weird. And there's not a lot of times that I feel pretty connected to the younger dudes. We obviously, I'm an old guy that they think is a novelty, that listens to rap music, or at least has some idea of the zeitgeist of memes and, the culture. I won't pretend to, I'm definitely that old guy. Disaster had a great meme about, the E7 that dresses like a 19-year-old because he doesn't want to do E7 work. And that one, I felt attacked. But this is one of those things that does make you feel a little bit differently when the younger guys get in and they talk about Afghanistan, or they talk about the GWAT deployments, or just really that time in the Air Force. It really is something. I don't fully understand Vietnam. I don't fully understand those guys that even, went to the first Gulf War, or, I had mentors that were chasing war criminals around Europe. That was what they did out of the 321st, is they went and looked for war criminals. And that's some of the biggest shoot downs, by the way, happened in Bosnia. General Goldfein was shot providing air support for those operations that were going on. So, but I could never wrap my head around that. And then we started hitting GWAT deployments, and now that's over. And it is one of the first times that I'm like, well, there's really no way for me to explain it to you. It was just crazy. I could tell you about being at Bagram in, I think it was 2015, and catching 12 or 13 incoming a day. Having the tent right next to us blown up, and having 3 contractors that we had to treat and get out of there. But that was just a normal day. That was like Tuesday at Bath. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be different. You almost feel like you're doing them a disservice by talking about it. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling through it as I'm talking through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what we do. That's what you put Aaron and Trent together. We talk and think at the same time. It's not always pretty, but it is what it is. But I think the experience is valuable, right? I don't want to sell ourselves short. It's just the baseline, the job, the things that we're doing that we teach, like mindset and all those other things. Those still apply. Like all of our lessons learned that aren't tactical lessons. But I think when we've talked about this before, the whole using SOF and not necessarily a special operations capacity all the time, using us as small, small unit infantry for a lot, and just to provide that CAS, in the places where they wanted us to go, not necessarily doing SOF specific things all the time. It's as the younger guys are coming up and they're like, well, what are we doing? And we're trying to build out and rediscover what special operations means moving forward into the future. Like I can tell them about it. I'm writing a lot of the paperwork, or I have, but as far as firsthand experience, it's pretty limited.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we learned a lot of those lessons, and then, we learned a lot of lessons too. There's a whole group of people, we've seen it a year now, is the mental health impact that GWAT had. So not only, this one hits close to home for me. There's four of us. I tell, this fact about our family all the time, but there's four brothers in my family, and all four of us are currently actively serving. We have a lot of deployments between us. My three little brothers in the Army. I mean, they spent their time, like they spent their 11 Bravo time, because at one point they were all infantry. They spent something ridiculous, like 5 years combined into crit, like in Iraq in 2000, between 2004 and 2008. Like that was not a fun time to be there. Like that was not cool. There was a lot of stuff that goes on, during that time. And a lot of people have those stories, and we've been seeing after the exit, it didn't provide closure. We didn't walk out of there, and there's no hot takes here, but I don't think we walked out of HKIA with our head up and our chest, shoulders back, chest out, and feeling good about what we had done there, because we did a lot of good in Afghanistan, but I don't think we left the way that we wanted to. And you're seeing the impact of that. I don't know how many phone calls or how many messages I've gotten from guys that are out that are just like kind of like reestablishing those touch points back in now, because everybody, if we feel it in the military, because there is a feeling of, what do we do now? What do we even do in peacetime? How many times have we said that in the past year? What do we even do without Afghanistan? What do we even do without Iraq? Yeah. So, our friends are feeling that are out too. Like they're feeling that too. They're like, hey, where are we going right now? Do we feel like we're moving forward? I don't know if you felt the same way, but.
No, I mean, I think everybody feels do we slow down? What does that mean? How do we do that?
Right.
How do I know if someone's a piece of crap or not? I don't know. What kind of ops tempo should we be having? Like, when I joined, we were full-fledged into GWAT, and up until recently, like that was my whole career. Everybody I know went to the desert.
Yeah.
So like
just all the time. My favorite story about, GWAT, we're talking about GWAT now, and not 9/11, but we'll get back to it. But my favorite story about GWAT is, I went for a 2-year period where I didn't share the team room, or about a year period where I did not share a team room with my supervisor. So my supervisor was a guy named Nick. I was working at the 321st, and he was on an opposite cycle. So his training cycle that we supported a team out of Germany. His training cycle and my training cycle were opposite. We missed each other a couple times, and poof, it had been like something like 15 months. There was an EPR that was written in between via conversations we know getting had on the phone and some emails. And then finally we got back to the same team room. We were like, wow, but that's what post 9/11 was. That was the pace that we set, after 2001. And it is going to be hard to slow down. It's going to be hard to, kind of heal as a nation. And I'm hoping for some sort of accountability after, from Department of State to, whatever. It'd be great to AAR some of those things, and we could figure this thing out. But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of hope for that one.
I was thinking in the beginning when you called it a tactical exit, I was like, I can't wait to see the comments. Like if you go back, you can see me smile. I'm not laughing at you. I was just thinking someone's going to be like, oh, like that exit was super tactical. I don't want to get into comments, but I just thought it was funny.
Before you get, well, everybody's going to get me into comments anyway, but that's what it's called. It's called a JT. But anyway, assisted departure. I don't care what you want to call it.
It was pretty disastrous. And I think it's easy for us all to look back now and be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe we wasted all of our time or whatever, or it was a disaster when we left. But I don't remember ever thinking when I was there that it was going to end well.
No.
And like, I'm just here to do my job and to make things better if possible. But I don't remember a lot of team room conversations about like, Afghanistan's going to make it, guys. Like when we leave, this place is going to be awesome.
Absolutely not.
So I think some of us are going back and rewriting history a little bit and making it more emotional than maybe we felt at the time. I'm not saying it's not an emotional event like the, 9/11, 20 years, and then we leave. But I don't think any of us ever thought that we were going to occupy ground there for forever and create some kind of utopian society.
No, absolutely not. And that you bring up a funny thing, and I've described it to people like this before, but I really felt like I was on another world. My deployments to Afghanistan, I felt so disconnected and it was always just an otherworldly experience from the ritual of getting on the plane and eating 7 Ambien and going to sleep for 25 straight hours with, you wake up in Germany or St. John's, Newfoundland, or row to Spain and kind of rub your eyes and you're like, what's going on? And then you go back to sleep and you're in, you start to feel the plane, like do that entrance into wherever you're going. And you're like, man, okay, well, here I am. And then it's game on. You're constantly on guard. Some of the places that you went, it felt different to me. And now even looking back and having distance from it, it feels even more different. Now it feels like a dream that we went through this 21 years later.
Well, it's weird because at the time, like first deployment was like everything's brand new, everything is scary in the beginning. Like everything is the first time. Like, but by the second halfway through your second rotation, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like this is normal. Yeah. Like, and then the next trip in, you land, you get off the plane, you look around, you're like, oh, we're in Mez. Okay, like we're going back though, right? Like. You're like, yeah. We're just fueling out real quick.
Mez was the best. Mez was awesome.
Yeah, you'd get off. You didn't even have to ask where you were. You'd get off the plane and look around and be like, I know where we're at. So like,
yeah, you'd see the mountains, a few more hours. You'd see the bowl.
Like,
Yep. Yeah. You'd be like, I'm about an hour and a half away from Kandahar. Yeah, got it. Yeah. That's the pass. All right, tight.
Let's enjoy how nice Mez is for like an hour before we have to go to Bath or Calf.
Yeah. Ugh. Even worse, Shank. Fuck Shank. So do you do anything special for 9/11? Is there a toast that you do? Like, I don't know. Some people have rituals where they call their friends or whatever. Usually my dad's a firefighter. So I call my dad and we talk about it because he ended up going to Ground Zero. So the fire department in Northeast Ohio where he worked when 9/11 happened, they basically had a skeleton crew back home and everybody that they could send to drive over to New York to help in the search. So they did that. I have a distinct memory of him being on the road and talking to him both there and back from Ground Zero. So I don't know if you have anybody that you talk to like that.
No, not really. It was just like the actual day of 9/11. It didn't, like we lived a lot further away, and and then it was just like I was not that old, but so
I forget how young you are. You're a baby. We make fun of Peaches for being old. I'm actually older than Peaches.
Don't tell people that. Peaches is old.
Peaches, yeah. Well, Peaches is old. Peaches is crusty. That's the difference. Is that Peaches is an old soul because I feel like his soul has been in the military since Guadalcanal.
Yeah, but like it's not like 9/11 didn't impact everybody's lives. But I remember I went over to my girlfriend's house and she was crying. But like I'm not the most like emotional or sympathetic person all the time, and I was taking things in very I was logically trying to process what was happening, and then like my girlfriend's like crying. I was like, did you know someone that was there? She's like, no. So like it was like a weird day for me. Like it was my day off work. They ruined my day that I wasn't working, and because someone woke me up and they're like, they're flying planes into buildings in New York, and I was like, okay, like, why are you waking me up, dude? I'm tired. But
yeah, I was definitely older. I think I told this story before, but I actually, man, Monday nights there was a place called Pelican Cove, and they had 50-cent draft dollar shot nights, and I was a 21-year-old dude, so I was perfectly legal to drink in your face, and we went out, we played sand volleyball. It was awesome. I was at my house that I share with my roommate that I lived with right before I got in, and who I'm still friends with, 20 years later, whatever. But it was weird because so we were in Cleveland, we're in Akron, right? But the plane that turned around that ended up crashing in Pennsylvania turned around over Cleveland. So my friend's son lived in Cleveland, like in the city proper. So we didn't know where that plane was going. We had seen the first plane hit. We, during this time, they were like, hey, there are other planes. And then the Pentagon got hit. I can't remember what the order was. I'd have to look it up. But there was a point of time where Chaz was trying to get a hold of his ex at the time and say, hey, is my son safe? Where are you guys? Are you tracking this thing? And I distinctly remember just sitting on the couch and being just like, that was kind of the first time that I was like, man, time to grow up, Peter Pan. Like I'd been bouncing around Northeast Ohio doing dumb, kid stuff, working at bars for not a lot of money and sleeping on friends' couches and just being a general mooch. You know what I mean? Pretending to go to college, but not really going to class sort of thing. And that was the first time I remember just being like, okay, well, things are different now. And then we went on. So fair to put the number out there. 2,996 people lost their lives during that day, and then we don't know how many afterwards with inhalation and problems from that, and then the mental health toll on top of that too. Random factoid: Pete Davidson, otherwise known as Skeet Davidson, if you're Kanye West, his dad was a New York firefighter, and he died in the second tower. So he was running into the second tower and was killed. So I found that fact out this week. Didn't know that.
I think Steve Buscemi got back with his guys on 9/11 too, right? He was like,
New York firefighter. I think Steve worked at one of the outs. Steve Buscemi worked at one of the outstations. Like he was either a volunteer or he was a previous employee or something.
Yeah, he'd been a firefighter
back in.
Yeah, and not that I like him more than Pete Davidson, but I do.
I don't care about either one of those people individually or as a concept. I don't know, man. So it feels weird. Feels weird a year later. And on this end of it, and it just struck me as poignant this week with even as how busy we are. One of the senior NCOs that's going out, we were just talking about his deployment, his trip, and some other unrelated stuff, and he just laughed. He was like, "Yeah, I can't believe this is the first time that I've ever gone anywhere not named Afghanistan. It's just a weird thing." And it got me thinking about September 11th, 2001, and how we're going to move on from this, but it's quickly becoming history.
Well,
and not already.
I think for me, and this is probably the last thing I'll say about it, is I didn't feel that connected to that event until I joined the military and I started deploying. You know what I mean? So the actual day wasn't this huge life-changing event for me. I didn't join the military for another 2 years until we invaded Iraq, and then I decided to throw my hat in the ring. Also, life events. And I was pretty far away. There was no one in Salt Lake City, Utah, that was super concerned with planes flying into buildings. I don't think we were a huge target. But after you join and then you see the what happens and you lose some friends and all those other things happen, then you can look back at 9/11 and then that sympathetic response and understanding what people are going through and the mental health and the chemical damage to lungs from inhalation and all those other things. That's when you start to view certain other groups as closer to your group, there's a community of connected people. And I think looking back, it's way more important to me than it was at the time. Just because of the the events that all happened because of each other. I was part of those events that took place after that. So I definitely feel more connected to them. And it's weird to put it in the back, in the rearview mirror and to look back at it now as what happened and it's over and we're moving forward. But, it was a was a wild time.
It was a wild time. Well said. Well, to all the first responders, firemen, paramedics, nurses, doctors, everybody that's out there doing something for the greater good. All of our military brothers from all the branches, brothers and sisters, and all government employees that, served during that time. And, maybe if that was your motivation, or maybe you connect to it now, maybe you're like me and you were really involved in it, or maybe you're like Trent and weight was added to that event afterwards, after you put some service in. Like, thank you. From us here in the team room, and, from Peaches, thanks for what you do. We understand 9/11 is a tough day, and it's a day of remembrance, but hopefully you've got some time from it now. And especially after the events last year, hopefully we're all processing that and moving forward. But we wanted to put something out here just to commemorate the day and talk through it a little bit and give you maybe some different perspectives on how you can think about it. So hit us up in the DMs. We appreciate all the follows and all the engagement you guys got. So maybe leave a review on Apple if you haven't. Trying to get to 1,000. That would be sweet. So have a great day. Raise a glass if that's what you want to do. Throw a workout. Remember everybody that served in this thing that we call GWAT post 9/11, and throw a quick reminder of the day on it, and then let's go on with business. So, all right, everybody, have a good one.
There you go.